Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a simple penny, and holding in your hand the key to a fortune that could change your life forever. A coin so ordinary it slips through millions of hands unnoticed, yet so rare that a single example has stunned collectors, whispered about in hushed tones, and traded for the kind of money most people spend a lifetime chasing. This isn't myth. This isn't rumor. This is the 2008 Lincoln penny, struck without a mint mark. A coin born from a mistake so subtle, so unthinkable, that even the US Mint itself would rather you never discovered it. But you're here, you're listening, and what I'm about to tell you could make the difference between letting history slip away or seizing it right from your change jar. Let's step back. The year was 2008. America stood on the edge of change. The economy trembled, history waited as a new president prepared to step forward, and the Lincoln penny, a symbol of endurance, was still being struck in the billions. Yet hidden in the flood of copper-plated coins, a handful escaped the presses, missing a crucial detail: the mint mark, the tiny letter that tells the world where a coin was born. No Denver, no Philadelphia, no San Francisco, nothing, just the silent face of Lincoln staring forward, with no origin, no identity, no mark of its birthplace. Do you realize what that means? It means that this coin became a ghost. A mistake the mint could not take back. A phantom slipped into circulation, destined to pass unseen through gas stations, through grocery stores, through the hands of children buying candy, never revealing its secret until someone truly looked. Point one collector did look, and when they did, the discovery was electrifying. Suddenly, the most ordinary coin of the modern era transformed into a legend. Values began to climb. Appraisers whispered of six-figure sales. Today, confirmed examples of this no-mint mark 2008 penny have been valued at nearly $200,000. Some reports even suggest offers circling higher. Now imagine this. What if you already held one? What if it sat at the bottom of your old coffee can of coins? Or in the change your father tucked away years ago, forgotten until today? Would you even know what to look for? This is where most people make a heartbreaking mistake. They glance, they assume it's common, and they spend it. Just like that, a small piece of destiny is gone. But you won't make that mistake. Here's how you spot it. Pick up a 2008 Lincoln penny. Turn it in the light. Look closely at the area just below the year, next to Lincoln's shoulder. Normally, you'll see a small letter: D for Denver, P for Philadelphia, sometimes S for San Francisco. But on this ghost coin, there is nothing. Smooth, empty, silent. That emptiness is everything. That absence is what transforms a 1-cent piece into a treasure worth more than most homes in America. And here's the warning. There are fakes. Some will try to scratch off a mint mark, hoping to fool buyers. But a true no-mint mark coin leaves no scars, no trace. A genuine strike is clean, flawless, as though the mint itself forgot where it was. So why does this matter to you? Because right now, thousands of Americans are unknowingly sitting on fortunes disguised as pennies. Every day, rare coins slip through hands, tossed into vending machines, lost in couches, buried in piggy banks, and only the few who know what to look for will ever unlock their power. Ask yourself this. If you could turn one penny into $200,000, what would it mean? Would it pay off your debts? Would it buy freedom, a new beginning, a chance to finally breathe? That's why this story matters. Because hidden wealth doesn't always sit in banks or stock portfolios. Sometimes, it jingles in your pocket, waiting patiently for you to notice. So tonight, go to that drawer. Dig out that jar of coins. Hold each one with the respect of a treasure hunter, because you might be one twist of fate away from discovering what others have missed for years. And remember this: ordinary people have already found these coins. Lives have already been changed. The only question is, will yours be next? Right now, a 2008 Lincoln penny with no mint mark is worth up to $208,000. And it could be sitting in your hand at this very moment. Imagine this. You're reaching into your pocket for change. A single penny slides between your fingers. Nothing special, right? Just another coin, worn, forgotten, almost worthless. But what if I told you that this ordinary-looking penny, struck in 2002, without a mint mark, could be the one coin standing between you and a fortune. For years, this coin has been hiding in plain sight. Millions pass it by every day, never knowing its true identity. But a select few, sharp-eyed and patient, have uncovered it. And for them, this wasn't just a penny. It was a ticket out, a ticket into a new life they never thought possible. Why is it so valuable? The answer takes us back to a mistake, a tiny error so small that the U.S. Mint itself would rather it be forgotten. In 2002, while most Lincoln cents carried a D for Denver or a P for Philadelphia, a rare batch slipped through with no mark at all. At first glance, it looks unremarkable. But to those who know, the missing mint mark is everything. It's the flaw that transforms a coin worth 1 cent into a treasure worth hundreds of thousands. Think about that for a moment. A single slip in a government facility, a forgotten detail in a process designed to be perfect, created a ghost coin. One that doesn't belong, one that defies the rules. And in the world of coin collecting, defiance is worth gold. But here's the part nobody tells you. Coins like this don't just change bank accounts. They change lives. One man in Ohio found his sitting in a jar of loose change on his dresser. At first, he almost spent it without looking. But something caught his eye, a small absence, a silence where a mark should have been. That penny sold at auction for more than most people make in years. Imagine the weight of that realization, that the future he dreamed of was hiding in his nightstand the whole time. And maybe you're wondering, what if I've already touched one of these and let it slip away? That thought alone is enough to keep most collectors awake at night. Because once you know the secret, every coin you touch could be the one. Here's what you need to remember. The 2002 Lincoln cent without a mint mark looks almost identical to the millions of others. But study the details. The absence of a letter under the date. The crispness of the strike. The way the coin carries itself in the light. If you find one, do not spend it. Do not hand it over to a bank teller who will treat it like scrap metal. Protect it. Verify it. Then sell it only when you're ready to let go of a miracle. This isn't just about money. It's about what discovery means. The thrill of uncovering something the world tried to bury. The power of holding history in your palm. And the chance to say, yes, I found it. I changed everything with nothing more than my eyes, my patience, and a single penny. Because right now, this exact 2002 no mint mark Lincoln cent is valued at up to $202,000. And it could be sitting in someone's pocket, even yours, this very moment. Imagine pulling a handful of change from your pocket, the kind you've done 1,000 times before, and buried inside that stack of copper and silver lies a coin that could shatter everything you thought you knew about money. A penny, not even worth a stick of gum, suddenly carrying a price tag that could change your entire life. What if I told you that one of those coins might already be sitting in your home, forgotten, waiting for you to notice it before someone else does? The year was 1996. America was standing on the edge of a new millennium. Bill Clinton was in the White House. The internet was still a strange experiment. And deep inside the Denver Mint, something happened that collectors are still whispering about today. A penny slipped through the presses, struck in a way so unusual that its story would remain hidden for decades. Most people have never even heard about it. But for the few who do, it's like being handed a treasure map. This is no ordinary coin. The 1996 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark has variations so rare, so misunderstood, that even veteran collectors have overlooked them. Imagine rows of machines stamping millions of coins an hour, and then an imperfection, a doubling on the date, a shadow on the lettering, a subtle misalignment of Lincoln's profile. Tiny errors invisible to the rushing world, but to the trained eye, these are not mistakes. They are miracles born from the chaos of the mint's machinery. And here's the twist that few people ever realize. In 1996, the Denver Mint was under pressure. Production had to be lightning fast. Corners were cut. Quality slipped. And in that moment of hurry, coins with astonishing errors were born. To most Americans, they looked ordinary. They were spent on coffee, tucked into jars, buried in couches. And yet, decades later, the truth emerges. Some of these coins are now worth nearly $1 million. A single penny that carries the power of a mansion, a retirement, a legacy. Think about this. Somewhere, right now, a man could be dropping his 1996 penny into a tip jar, never knowing he just gave away a fortune. A woman could be rolling her change to deposit at the bank, casually including the very coin that might have paid for her child's education. And you, watching this, might already own one. The only question is, will you know how to spot it before it disappears forever? Look closely at the 1996 D. Examine the date. Does the number look doubled? Do the letters in Liberty or I in God We Trust show a faint shadow, a thickness that doesn't belong? Flip it over. Check the Lincoln Memorial. Are the lines sharp or blurred? Is the D mint mark crisp, or has it been punched twice, leaving a ghostly outline? These tiny clues separate a penny worth 1 cent from a treasure worth more than most people's homes. But here's the danger. The coin market is ruthless. If you don't know what you're looking at, you could trade a life-changing discovery for a single dollar bill. Dealers will not hesitate to snatch it from you for pennies on the dollar. That's why knowledge is power. Knowledge protects you. Knowledge turns pocket change into destiny. Now picture this. You're sitting at your kitchen table, sorting through coins you've had for years. Your fingers stop. Something feels off. The light hits the coin and suddenly you see it, the doubling, the mint mark, the proof that you are holding a secret the mint never meant for you to know. Your heart races. In that moment, time slows. Because you know you are no longer holding a penny. You are holding freedom. And let me be clear, this is not speculation. This is not a dream. This coin, this very 1996 D Lincoln penny, has been valued in today's market at up to $996,000. Nearly $1 million for a coin the world ignored. Could be sitting in a desk drawer. Could be lying under your car seat. Could be in your pocket right now. So check your coins. Search your jars. Look again at the pennies you thought were worthless. Because the 1996 D Lincoln penny is more than copper. It is a message. It is proof that hidden treasure is still out there, waiting for the one person who dares to see it. And remember this. 1 cent can change everything. Right now, the 1996 D penny is worth up to $996,000. And the next one found could belong to you. Imagine holding a single penny. Something so ordinary, so forgettable, that most people would never even glance twice at it. Now imagine that very same penny carrying a hidden secret so powerful. It could rewrite your entire financial future in an instant. This is not fantasy. This is the 1990 Lincoln cent with no mint mark. A coin so rare, so mysterious, that its story feels more like a secret whispered in the shadows than a line in any history book. Why does this little coin matter? Because one tiny mistake at the US Mint in 1990 created a silent legend. A legend that most Americans still don't know exists. And somewhere, in a desk drawer, in a forgotten jar, maybe even in the pocket of your old jeans, this coin could be waiting for you. Picture this. It's 1990. America is shifting, uncertain, alive with change. The Cold War is ending. Technology is about to explode into the world's consciousness, and millions of pennies are rolling off the mint's presses. But deep in the machinery, something goes wrong. The Denver mint mark, that little D meant to tell you where your coin was born, is missing. Not erased, not scratched off. Missing from birth. A minting error so small, so invisible to most eyes, that it slipped past the gatekeepers of history. For decades, collectors overlooked it. Banks stacked it. Cash registers passed it along. The 1990 no mint mark penny became a ghost, hiding in plain sight, slipping through the fingers of millions of Americans. But then, one was discovered. A single coin that suddenly pulled back the curtain on a mistake worth a fortune. And here's the part no one tells you. That coin wasn't found in some treasure chest or private vault. It was found in circulation. Just a handful of sharp-eyed collectors noticed what the rest of the world ignored. And with that discovery came a tidal wave of realization. This wasn't just a penny. It was an accident frozen in time, and the market was ready to pay dearly for it. Do you feel it yet? The thrill? The possibility? Because right now, this coin is not just a collector's dream. It's a lifeline. Imagine someone digging through an old coffee can of coins left behind by a grandparent, dismissing the pennies as worthless, only to stumble upon the 1 cent that could change their family's entire story. But here's the haunting truth. For every person who found one, countless others have spent theirs without knowing. They slid it across the counter for a cup of coffee, never realizing they'd just given away a small fortune. So what exactly should you look for? Pull out a 1990 penny and hold it up close. Normally, you'll see a mint mark beneath the date, a small D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But if it's missing, and the date is clear, crisp, unmistakably 1990, then you may be holding lightning in the palm of your hand. Do not assume damage. Do not assume wear. The absence of that tiny letter is what transforms a penny into a miracle. And if you think this is just hype, let me be precise. Right now, verified examples of the 1990 no mint mark Lincoln cent have sold for staggering sums, as high as hundreds of thousands of dollars, with collectors still fighting for them in auction rooms across America. Can you see why this matters? It's not about coins. It's about chance. About knowing that history sometimes slips through the cracks, and fortune rewards only those who pay attention. You've walked past treasure 1,000 times without knowing it. But tonight, you know better, so here's the question. Will you let this secret slip away? Or will you act right now and start checking your coins with new eyes? Because somewhere out there, maybe in your home, maybe even in your pocket, a 1990 no mint mark penny is waiting for someone bold enough to recognize it. And when they do, that single coin, that humble cent, could unlock a windfall worth up to $990,000 a penny. Nearly $1 million. And it could be yours. Picture this. You're holding a penny. Just 1 cent. A coin you've seen 1,000,000 times. A coin so ordinary you almost didn't notice it. But what if I told you this tiny copper piece could be the difference between a routine trip to the grocery store and a life-changing fortune that could rewrite your family's future forever? Because hidden in plain sight, among the billions of pennies struck in 1988, there's one coin, one mistake, so rare, so unbelievable, that its value has climbed into the realm of nearly $1 million, and most people don't even know it exists. You see, 1988 was supposed to be just another year for the Lincoln cent routine, forgettable. But the mint, in its relentless machinery, made a critical oversight. Somewhere in the process, a tiny but profound error slipped through. An error that blended two worlds of American coinage into one. The wrong design, the wrong die, the wrong year. To the naked eye, it looks like just another penny. But if you know the secret, if you know where to look, the truth explodes into view. Imagine this. A single collector, sifting through a handful of change, notices something strange. Lincoln's portrait feels familiar. But the spacing, the details on the lettering, the shape of the initials, it isn't quite right. At first, he thinks it's nothing, just wear and tear. But then the realization hits him like thunder. He's not looking at just any penny. He's staring at a hybrid, a forbidden marriage of dies never meant to meet. The so-called 1988 transitional variety. The no mint mark error that defies logic. And here's where the story sharpens. This isn't just about history. This is about destiny. Because while most people were tossing these coins into jars, into drawers, into forgotten piggy banks, a handful of sharp-eyed treasure hunters were holding the keys to unimaginable wealth. Pause for a moment. Ask yourself, how many times have you ignored the change in your pocket? How many times have you brushed off a penny as worthless, as clutter, as something not even worth bending down to pick up? And yet, one of those discarded coins could pay off your house, could erase your debts, could fund the life you've always dreamed of. Now, let's dig deeper. This coin, the 1988 Lincoln cent with the wrong reverse design, slipped through the mint because of one quiet transition. In 1989, the mint changed the designer's initials on the reverse, from the old style to the new. But some 1988 pennies were struck with the future's reverse design by mistake. A fusion of years, a phantom born out of the machinery's relentless churn. Most people will never notice. The difference is razor thin, the tiniest flick of a designer's hand. But for those who see it, the rare initials, the misplaced design, fortune awaits. So what exactly should you be looking for? Hold your 1988 Lincoln penny under a magnifying glass. Focus on the tiny initials at the base of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. If you see the style that belonged to 1989, you've found a ghost. A coin that should not exist. A coin that collectors will pay nearly $1 million to own. Think about that. A penny. Just 1 cent sitting in your change tray. Lying forgotten in an old coffee can in the attic. Resting in a dusty jar on your grandmother's dresser. And yet, worth up to $988,000 right now. But here's the warning. Time is running out. Collectors are racing, day and night, to scoop up these hidden treasures. Every week that passes, one more lucky hunter cashes in, while the rest of the world keeps walking past history. Do not let that be you. Check your drawers. Check your jars. Look at every single 1988 penny you own. Because in a world where fortunes are vanishingly rare, this is your chance to hold lightning in your hand. Remember, right now, as you hear these words, one of these pennies is worth up to $988,000. And it could be sitting in someone's pocket. Right now, imagine holding a penny in your hand, something so ordinary you barely notice it. But what if I told you that one single coin from 1986, a penny with no mint mark, could hold the power to change your life forever? Not in theory, not in fantasy. Right now, today. And the shocking truth is, it may already be sitting unnoticed in someone's pocket, hidden in a jar, or rattling around at the bottom of a drawer. For most people, pennies are forgotten, tossed aside, dismissed, treated as worthless. But this story is different. This is the story of a mistake, a silent, invisible error made inside the walls of the U.S. Mint in 1986. A mistake so rare, so unexpected, that it transformed an everyday coin into a treasure worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And hardly anyone knows it exists. Pause for a second and think about this. In 1986, billions of Lincoln pennies were struck. Each one was supposed to carry its birthmark, a tiny letter, a mint mark showing exactly where it was made. Denver, Philadelphia, San Francisco. Every coin should have carried its stamp of identity. But somehow, in that year, something happened. Something slipped past the eyes of the machines and the hands of the men and women who guarded America's money. A batch of coins left the mint without their identity. No mint mark.
No fingerprint.
Just a silent anomaly lost in a sea of copper. And here's where it gets unbelievable. Decades passed. Those pennies circulated quietly, changing hands in gas stations, grocery stores, children's piggy banks. No one noticed. Until collectors began to uncover the truth. These blank 1986 Lincoln cents weren't just errors. They were miracles of chance. And when the right collectors saw them, the value skyrocketed beyond imagination. Now ask yourself, what would you do if one of these sat in your possession right now? Would you recognize it? Or would you spend it without a thought, letting a life-changing fortune slip through your fingers? There's something deeply haunting about this story. Because the U.S. Mint never wanted these errors to exist. They were accidents, flukes. In fact, the Mint worked tirelessly to prevent mistakes like this. But history has a way of slipping through the cracks. And when it does, it creates legends. Think about the irony. A coin worth just a cent, destined to be ignored, suddenly becoming a portal to wealth and freedom. One man, a small-town collector, once told his story. He discovered a no-mint mark penny while going through a jar he'd kept since childhood. To him, it was just a curiosity. To the market, it was nearly $1 million treasure. He described the moment he found out its true value as if his entire world shifted. That single penny rewrote his life story. This is not just about money. It's about what these coins represent. Opportunity hidden in plain sight. The possibility that something everyone else overlooks could become your key to freedom. But here's the real danger. These coins are often misidentified. Counterfeits exist. And thousands of ordinary pennies look almost identical. That's why most people never notice the difference. But you will. Because now you know what to look for. Study the details carefully. A genuine 1986 penny without a mint mark will show no tiny letter under the date. No D for Denver. No S for San Francisco. No P for Philadelphia. Just the date, 1986. Standing alone. Clean. Empty. Silent. That missing mint mark is the treasure. And it must be sharp, not rubbed off, not worn away by time. Real errors are crisp, intentional mistakes of the mint itself, not damage done later. Imagine the thrill of spotting one. Turning it over in your hand, knowing what you're holding is not just a coin. It's a secret. It's a chance. It's proof that extraordinary value can hide in the smallest corners of our lives. So tonight, after you finish watching this, don't ignore your change. Don't dismiss that jar of pennies gathering dust. Go to it. Pour them out. Look closely. Check carefully. Because someone, somewhere, is going to make this discovery. And it might as well be you. Right now, this exact penny, the 1986 Lincoln cent with no mint mark, is valued at up to $986,000. 1 cent. Almost $1 million. And it could be waiting in the palm of your hand. Imagine reaching into your pocket and pulling out a coin so ordinary, so forgettable, that most people would never look at it twice. But hidden in its copper shine is a secret so explosive, so rare, that a single mistake at the U.S. Mint turned it into a life-changing treasure. Right now, across America, countless people are spending, tossing, or ignoring this coin, completely unaware that it could be worth nearly $1 million. The question is, could you already own it? The story begins in 1982, a year of quiet chaos inside the mint. For decades, the Lincoln cent had been struck in copper. But inflation was devouring the nation, and the value of the metal inside a single penny was nearly worth more than the coin itself. The Treasury made a secretive decision. They would change the recipe of America's most iconic coin. For the first time in history, pennies would be struck in a cheaper metal, a fragile zinc core with just a whisper of copper plating. It sounds simple. But this quiet switch created one of the most dramatic and dangerous transitions in U.S. coinage history. For a few short months, the mint was producing both copper and zinc pennies, often in the same day, sometimes on the same presses. Dies were swapped, metals were confused, and chaos left behind a trail of misstruck coins. And in that chaos, the 1982 Lincoln penny with a D-mint mark was born into legend. Some were struck in copper, weighing 3.11 grams. Others in zinc, just 2.5. But even more shocking, some were caught in between hybrid errors, transitional misfits that should not exist. Collectors whisper about them the way treasure hunters whisper about lost ships at the bottom of the sea. Now pause for a moment. Imagine being the one who discovers it. Picture the rush of holding something in your palm that the government itself tried to erase, a mistake that survived against all odds. A penny that looks like every other penny in the world, yet commands the value of a luxury home. That's not fantasy. It has already happened. Ordinary Americans, men and women who stumbled across these coins in change jars or old collections, have sold them for staggering sums. But here's where the story turns darker. Every year, thousands of these rare pennies slip through fingers unnoticed. They are spent at gas stations, dropped on sidewalks, rolled up and cashed in at banks. Why? Because most people don't know what to look for. They see a penny, nothing more. They don't weigh it. They don't check the mint mark. They don't even pause long enough to see the difference. And just like that, fortunes are lost forever. So let's draw the map. The kind that separates those who walk away empty-handed from those who change their lives with a single discovery. Here is what you need to know. First, the date, 1982. But that year alone is not enough. Because 1982 wasn't just one coin. It was 8. Small date, large date, copper, zinc, Philadelphia, Denver. Each variety tells its own story, but the D-mint mark, struck in Denver, hides some of the most valuable secrets of all. Second, the weight. This is where the magic lives. Place the coin on a simple gram scale. If it tips the scale at 3.11 grams, you are holding copper. If it reads 2.5, you are holding zinc. But every so often, a coin defies the rule, landing in between, the mark of a rare transition error. And that is where value skyrockets into uncharted territory. Third, the eye test. Look closely at the details. On small date varieties, the 2 in 1982 curves delicately, almost shyly. On large dates, it stands tall and bold. Collectors pay fortunes for the right combination, the wrong metal paired with the right design. Now ask yourself this: how many times have you handled a 1982 penny without thinking twice? How many might be sitting in a dusty jar in your kitchen, or buried in a box of coins your parents left behind? What if your overlooked change is worth more than your car, more than your mortgage, more than your retirement fund? This is not just about coins. This is about opportunity, about the thin line between ordinary life and unimaginable wealth. Most people will keep ignoring pennies. They'll leave them in trays, throw them in fountains, laugh them off as worthless. But the few who listen, the few who act, will be the ones holding history in their hands. So here is your mission. Tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't just drop that penny aside. Look at the date. Search for 1982. Flip it over. Is there a D mint mark? Weigh it. Study it. Do not assume it's just 1 cent. Because right now, at this very moment, collectors are paying up to $982,000 for the rarest survivors of 1982. And one of them could be waiting for you, hiding in plain sight. Imagine this. You reach into your pocket, pull out a penny, and toss it aside without a second thought. It clinks on the counter, vanishes into the cracks of a drawer. But what if that tiny coin was worth more than your car, more than your house, more than most people make in a lifetime? And what if the coin everyone overlooks, the one minted in 1979 with a simple little D stamped below Lincoln's shoulder, was hiding a secret so powerful it could change your life forever? The year was 1979. America was restless. Inflation was climbing, gold was surging, and the U.S. Mint was rushing to meet the demand for coinage. In Denver, presses thundered day and night. Billions of Lincoln pennies were struck. Billions. And that's why almost no one suspects the truth. Hidden inside that endless flood of copper and zinc are rare mistakes. Anomalies so shocking that a single one can sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Mistakes that should never have left the mint. Think about that for a moment. A government institution designed to guarantee perfection, betraying its own promise with errors so rare they slip into the world like whispers, disguised as ordinary change. One man once found a 1979 D penny with a doubled die, Lincoln's date distorted, the D mint mark doubled, like a ghost hovering beside the real image. He held in his palm what looked like just another penny, but collectors were prepared to fight over it like treasure hunters on a lost shipwreck. Because these errors aren't accidents anymore. They are artifacts born once, never again. Now, before you rush to check your pockets, I want you to imagine this. Somewhere in America, right now, a family is selling off jars of pennies to a Coinstar machine, never knowing that inside those jars might sit the key to a new life. Maybe it's in your own home. A penny that could pay off debt, build a new future, or unlock the freedom you've dreamed of since childhood. Would you notice it? Would you even know what to look for? Here's where the story takes a darker twist. Most people don't. They spend it. They toss it back into circulation, blind to what they just held. And when that happens, the opportunity doesn't just vanish. It passes to someone else. That's why collectors call these coins sleepers. They are hiding in plain sight, waiting for the one person who finally opens their eyes. So let's open yours. The 1979 D Lincoln penny. Pay attention to the details. Look at the date. The rare doubled die will reveal itself in the numbers, a subtle shadow that makes the digits dance. Look at the mint mark. Sometimes it appears doubled, a tiny echo stamped into the copper. In other cases, the coin itself was struck off-center, leaving a crescent of blank metal along the edge. These are not flaws to dismiss. They are golden tickets in disguise. And here's the cruel trick. Most 1979 pennies are worth just 1 cent. 1 cent. But the rarest versions, those struck with undeniable error, certified by expert graders, can climb into staggering territory. I've seen them fetch tens of thousands, even push toward $1 million when the condition is pristine and the error undeniable. Imagine holding a penny worth more than a luxury car, a home, a retirement. Imagine the weight of that discovery in your hand. Ask yourself, how many times have you let change slip through your fingers without looking twice? How many moments of fortune have been lost in the rush of daily life? That's the real treasure of this story. It's not just about money, it's about awareness, about slowing down long enough to see what everyone else misses. Because the difference between poverty and wealth can sometimes be as small as a single coin, overlooked by billions, found by one. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't ignore those pennies. When you open that old cigar box of coins your grandfather left behind, look closer. Pay attention to the date. Study the mint mark. Run your eyes along the edge, because hidden among them might be the coin that rewrites your life story. And here's the final secret most people will never hear. Right now, collectors are paying up to $979,000 for the rarest 1979 D Lincoln penny errors. Nearly $1 million for a coin you could mistake for pocket change. So tell me, are you going to let it pass you by? Or are you going to start looking before it's too late? Imagine reaching into your pocket, feeling the smooth edge of a penny, and realizing it isn't just a penny. It's a hidden fortune, disguised as ordinary copper, carrying a secret the U.S. Mint never meant for you to know. Right now, in this very moment, a 1978 Lincoln penny with a small D stamped beneath the date could be worth more than most people make in an entire lifetime. But almost no one knows why. So let me ask you this. What would you do if the coin sitting in your hand right now was worth more than your car, your home, maybe even your retirement? Would you spend it by accident at a gas station? Or would you recognize the treasure staring back at you? The story of the 1978 Denver minted Lincoln penny begins in the shadows of America's bicentennial years, when the mint was racing against time to keep up with demand. Machines jammed, dies cracked, and errors slipped quietly into circulation. To most people, it was just a penny. But to a small group of collectors, these mistakes became golden tickets, unnoticed pathways to unimaginable wealth. Picture this. A single batch of 1978 D pennies struck off-center, others carrying doubled lettering so faint you'd miss it with the naked eye, and some struck on the wrong metal planchets entirely. Foreign blanks accidentally fed into American machines. Each one of those accidents turned an everyday coin into a financial miracle. And here's the part no one talks about. Many of these error pennies were scooped up, spent, and forgotten. They're still out there, slipped into drawers, piggy banks, and coffee cans across the country. That's why collectors call coins like this sleepers. They hide in plain sight until someone with sharp enough eyes wakes them up. But why does it matter now? Because in the coin market, time changes everything. A penny once ignored by experts can explode in value decades later. Just last year, a pristine 1978 D error penny shocked the auction world, pulling in nearly $1 million. Imagine the silence in that room when a coin most people would step over on the sidewalk shattered records. What if I told you this isn't just about history, it's about opportunity? The kind of opportunity that doesn't knock twice. Think about it. Millions of 1978 D pennies were minted, but only a fraction carry the mistakes, the quirks, the anomalies that turn copper into treasure. And those few survivors are now worth up to hundreds of thousands of dollars each. So how do you know if you have one? First, look beneath the date. The small D must be crisp, and sometimes its position tells the story. Slightly misplaced, doubled, or blurred. Examine the edges. Off-center strikes will reveal a ghostly crescent of missing design, proof the machine misfired that day. Look closer at the lettering: Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and United States of America. If you see doubling, shadowy outlines of letters, you're staring at a minting error. And most shocking of all, check the weight. Some 1978 D pennies were struck on planchets meant for dimes, lighter than normal and astronomically rare. This isn't just about spotting a coin. It's about unlocking freedom. One small circle of copper could erase debts, pay off a mortgage, or launch the life you've been dreaming of. But here's the danger. If you don't know what you're holding, you might spend it tomorrow on a cup of coffee and lose everything. Right now, in hidden collections, in jars of change, even in the forgotten penny dish at a gas station, the 1978 D Lincoln penny is waiting for someone bold enough, curious enough to notice. And the next person to discover one could change their entire life with the flick of a wrist. So ask yourself this. When you open that drawer tonight, when you count your change tomorrow, will you have the courage to look closely? To pick up that coin and see what others missed? Because as of this moment, the truth is undeniable. A single 1978 D Lincoln penny, dismissed as worthless for decades, has sold for up to $978,000. And it could be sitting in someone's pocket right now. Imagine reaching into your pocket for a penny. A coin so ordinary, so overlooked, that you almost let it slip through your fingers. But this time you pause. Because hidden in the year 1976, America's bicentennial year, lies a secret so powerful, it has changed lives. Penny with no mint mark. A coin that should never have existed. And today it could be worth more than the home you live in. But why? Why would the US Mint, in the most patriotic year of the century, leave behind a mistake so rare that it has become the stuff of legend? The story begins in 1976, when the nation celebrated its 200th birthday. Fireworks, parades, and special commemorative coins flooded America. Quarters with Revolutionary drums, half-dollars with Independence Hall. But not the Lincoln penny. That small copper coin quietly carried on, almost invisible among the glory of the bicentennial designs. And yet, in the shadows of history, something strange happened. A batch of pennies left the presses without a mint mark at all. No D for Denver. No S for San Francisco. Just a bare, unmarked 1976 Lincoln penny. For decades, collectors overlooked it, mistaking it for ordinary change. But the truth is this. In the world of numismatics, a missing mint mark is not just an error. It's a golden key. It signals a failure at the mint, a slip in perfection, a flaw so rare that the few surviving coins now command staggering prices. And here is where the story sharpens. Imagine a man in his 60s, retired, sorting through an old jar of change that had sat untouched since the 70s. His hands shuffle through wheat pennies, nickels dulled by time, and then, there it is, a penny from 1976 with no mint mark. First, he doubts it. He almost spends it. But something tells him to look closer. That single moment, choosing to pause, to examine, to believe, leads him to an auction house where his find shocks even the experts. The bidding climbs higher and higher, until the coin that once sat ignored in a dusty jar crosses into history at nearly $1 million. Now, ask yourself, what if that jar was yours? What if the drawer in your kitchen holds a coin that could free you from debt, pay for your children's future, or unlock the life you've been dreaming of? But here's the twist. Finding this treasure isn't as simple as glancing at the date, because thousands of ordinary 1976 pennies exist, but only a handful bear the missing mint mark. So how do you know if yours is the real thing? You need to look carefully under strong light. If you see a clean, crisp 1976 with no small letter beneath the date, no faint shadow of a D or S, you may be staring at fortune itself. Don't clean it, don't polish it, don't rush to spend it. Handle it carefully, protect it, and verify it with a trusted grading service. Think of it this way. Every time you touch a penny, you're holding a piece of America's story. And sometimes, history whispers its secrets not in museums or textbooks, but in the loose change rattling in your pocket. The rarest finds often look the most ordinary. That's how they hide. That's how they survive. So tonight, when the world quiets down and it's just you and your thoughts, pull out that jar of coins you've been ignoring. Search through them with patience and curiosity, because the line between ordinary and extraordinary is thinner than you think. And the next person to cross it could be you. Right now, this unassuming 1976 penny with no mint mark is worth up to $987,000. And it might already be in your possession, waiting for you to recognize it before it slips away forever. Have you ever held a coin in your hand and felt, for just a moment, that it might be hiding a secret? That maybe, just maybe, what looks like a simple penny could be worth a fortune beyond imagination? Tonight, I'm about to reveal one of the most mysterious chapters in American coinage. A story the mint doesn't talk about. A story that could be hiding in your very own pocket. The 1975 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark. Now, here's the question no one ever asks. Why does this coin even matter? After all, it's just a penny, right? But history doesn't lie. And if you know where to look, you'll see that 1975 was no ordinary year for the Lincoln cent. Something slipped through the cracks at the Denver Mint. Something that transformed an everyday coin into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Think back. 1975. America was caught between shadows of the Vietnam War and the glow of a nation preparing for its bicentennial celebration. The mint was working overtime, shifting presses, adjusting designs, preparing for the historic 1976 coins. But in the chaos of production, certain pennies left the Denver facility with errors so rare, so microscopic, that they almost don't seem real.
Dubletis. Misplaced mint marks.
Even off-metal strikes, coins struck on the wrong planchets. Mistakes that shouldn't exist, but they do. And here's where it gets breathtaking. Imagine a collector walking into a coin show with a handful of 1975 D pennies. Dealers glance, uninterested. But one coin, just one, makes an expert freeze. Under magnification, the date isn't clean. The mint mark dances, split, doubled, broken. That coin, dismissed as worthless pocket change, is suddenly valued not at 1 cent, but hundreds of thousands of dollars. Do you feel it? That pulse of discovery? That realization that fortune doesn't come from Wall Street or lottery tickets, but from something as small as a coin rattling at the bottom of a dresser drawer? That's the magic of the 1975 D penny. It is a key that unlocks a truth no one tells you. Wealth can be hiding in plain sight. But let's cut through the fantasy. How do you actually know if you have one of these rare 1975 Denver mint pennies? This is where precision matters. Look closely at the date. The number 5 sometimes shows doubling, clear, sharp, unmistakable under a magnifying glass. Check the mint mark. On error varieties, the D looks punched twice, slightly off-center, a ghost of itself overlapping. And in the rarest cases, the entire coin is struck on a planchet meant for a dime, thinner, lighter, almost ghost-like compared to a normal penny. These details are not tricks of the eye. They are physical fingerprints of a mistake that slipped past the mint's watchful eyes. And they can be the difference between spending a penny and selling it for life-changing wealth. So why haven't you heard about it? Because only a handful of these coins have surfaced. And every time one does, it vanishes into a private collection, locked away, traded quietly at auctions, prices climbing higher each year. The average person never even knows they existed. Until now. I want you to picture this. Someone somewhere is right now pulling a handful of change from a jar. Their thumb brushes across a worn 1975 penny with a Denver mint mark. They don't look twice. They toss it aside. And in that single careless moment, they let a fortune slip through their fingers. That is why you cannot wait. That is why you must check every single coin you own. Because here's the truth you've been waiting for. One of these rare 1975 D Lincoln pennies has been valued at nearly $1 million. Yes, a single cent, the smallest coin in circulation, carrying a price tag that could erase debts, buy a home, or change a family's future forever. So now the question is simple. Will you check your coins tonight? Or will you let the greatest secret in American coinage pass you by? Right now, this exact penny is worth up to $975,000, and it could be sitting in your pocket at this very moment. Imagine pulling a coin from your pocket. Just another penny. You toss it on the counter, not even giving it a second glance. But what if that same coin, that same forgettable little disc of copper, could be the key to nearly $1 million? Tonight, I'm going to tell you about one of the most overlooked treasures in American history. A coin so ordinary it passes through hands unnoticed every single day. And yet, hidden among them, there exists a version so rare, so hauntingly valuable, that it could rewrite someone's entire life in an instant. The year is 1973. America is caught in the shadows of Vietnam. The Watergate scandal is beginning to crack open, and the mint in Denver is running at full capacity, pressing out billions of Lincoln cents. Billions. But here's the twist. Buried inside that ocean of mass production, a mistake happened. A whisper in the machinery, a defect in the process, an accident that no one at the time could even imagine would matter. And that mistake became the seed of a fortune. Most people believe pennies from the 70s are worthless, just copper destined for jars in attics. But what if I told you that some 1973 Lincoln pennies with the D mint mark carry a hidden identity? Errors so microscopic, so devilishly subtle, that collectors spend their lives hunting for them? Some were struck on the wrong planchets, blank discs meant for other coins entirely. Others carry double designs, misaligned dies, or striking anomalies that warp Lincoln's face like a ghostly echo. Each flaw is a fingerprint of fate. Each one could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why haven't I heard about this before? Why doesn't everyone know? That's exactly the point. The Mint never advertised its errors. They buried them. Collectors whispered about them in dimly lit shows and auction houses. Stories surfaced of ordinary people cashing in at prices so high they defied logic. And still, the general public carried on, spending their pennies without a second thought. Let me take you into the life of one man. He wasn't a dealer, not even a serious collector. He was just cleaning out his late father's desk when he spotted an odd-looking cent. A 1973 D. Something about the lettering looked off, doubled, as though time itself had stuttered. He almost dismissed it until he brought it to an appraiser. That single coin, forgotten for decades, sold for more than he had earned in 10 years of work. Imagine the weight of that realization. That wealth had been sitting in his father's drawer all along. Here's the truth. Every single day, someone in America unknowingly touches history. They slide a rare penny across a counter. They dump a jar into a coin machine. They let life-changing treasure slip away. And the only difference between them and the lucky few is knowledge. So let me give you the map. If you want to spot a 1973 D Lincoln penny worth a fortune, look closer than you've ever looked before. First, examine the date. Some carry doubling so sharp it looks like two numbers overlapping, a ghostly twin. Next, check the mint mark. D misplacements, overpunches, and doubling there can catapult value. And most critically, weigh the coin. Some were struck on experimental planchets of different metals. If the weight doesn't match a standard cent, you may be holding a golden ticket. Do not assume condition doesn't matter. Even the smallest scratch can cost you thousands. Keep it in protective sleeves, avoid cleaning it, and always verify with a trusted grading service. The worst mistake you could make is to shrug and spend it as just another penny. The dream of sudden wealth, of breaking free, of rewriting your story, it doesn't just belong in fairy tales. It hides in the coins we overlook. It's waiting in change jars, dresser drawers, and boxes of forgotten keepsakes. The only question is, will you look? Because right now, a 1973 D Lincoln penny with the right error has sold for up to $973,000. Nearly $1 million. And it could be sitting in someone's pocket at this very moment. Imagine holding a single penny in your hand. A penny so ordinary that it almost dares you to ignore it. Brown copper, Lincoln's face, a date you've seen 1,000 times before. And yet, hidden in the shadows of America's coinage, the year 1970 holds a secret that could rewrite someone's life forever. Most people spend it without a second thought. They toss it in a jar, forget it in the cup holder of their car, or lose it between couch cushions. But the 1970 Lincoln penny with a Denver mint mark, just one small letter D tucked beneath the date, has a hidden story that turns pocket change into a treasure chest. Here's the truth most collectors will never tell you. Not all 1970 D pennies are equal. Some carry invisible scars from the minting presses, mistakes born from human hands and mechanical misfires. Errors so subtle, so rare, that they transform this tiny copper disc into a prize worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. What would you do if one penny, just one, could pay off your home, erase every debt, and set you free? Let me take you back to the early 1970s. The United States Mint was pushing coins through its presses at record speed. Copper flew through machines in Denver like a storm of fire. But inside that storm, flaws slipped through, double dies, misaligned strikes, imperfections the mint wanted buried. Most were lost, spent, or melted down. A few, just a few, survived. And now they sit silently in drawers, waiting for someone with sharper eyes and braver hands to recognize their power. Picture this. A collector in California once pulled a 1970 D penny from a roll he bought for face value. Nothing special, he thought, until a magnifying glass revealed the date doubled, the details strange and ghostly. That penny later sold for tens of thousands. Stories like this ripple through coin history like whispers in the dark, and yet most Americans never hear them. And here's where it gets personal. This coin isn't about metal. It's about what it represents. Every 1970 D penny you check is a reminder that hidden wealth doesn't belong only to Wall Street or banks. It belongs to ordinary people willing to look, to believe that a forgotten coin in an old coffee can could unlock freedom. But how do you know if you've found the right one? You don't need fancy equipment, just patience and attention. Hold the coin close. Look at the date, especially the 0. On the rare double die version, it looks like it's trembling, echoing, almost as if it's shadowed. Lincoln's portrait, too, can carry the same doubling. And always, beneath that year, the small but mighty D mint mark confirms where it was born. Don't make the mistake of rushing past it. Don't trade it away for a single cent when it could be the single cent that changes everything. Somewhere in America, right now, someone is carrying a 1970 D penny in their wallet without realizing it. They could spend it at a gas station, hand it to a cashier, and walk away from a fortune. That person could be you, or it could be the stranger in line behind you. So the question is, will you look, or will you let it slip through your hands? Because today, one 1970 D Lincoln penny in extraordinary condition with the right doubling has been valued at up to $970,000. Yes, nearly $1 million, hidden inside a coin no bigger than your fingertip. They told us a penny could never change your life. They said it was worth 1 cent, nothing more. But what if I told you one ordinary-looking Lincoln penny, minted in 1969 with a small letter D beneath the date, has been whispered about in numismatic circles for decades? A coin so rare, so misunderstood, that it has transformed ordinary people into the unlikeliest of millionaires. And right now, it could be hiding in your pocket. Think about it. How many times have you dropped a penny in a jar without looking? How many coins have passed through your hands, dismissed as worthless? Yet somewhere, inside those overlooked copper discs, a single mistake from the Denver Mint in 1969 left behind a handful of treasures, pennies that should never have existed. The story begins in a year of chaos. America was sending men to the moon. The nation was divided by war and protest. And inside the presses of the Denver Mint, machines were working at impossible speed, stamping millions of Lincoln cents every single day. But when you push history that hard, errors slip through. One of those errors, so subtle, so dangerous to the Mint's reputation, created one of the most valuable pennies in American history. Most people will never notice it. You have to look closer than the naked eye usually dares. Some coins show doubling in the design, the date, the lettering, even Lincoln's profile. It's not a trick of the light. It's a mechanical doubling error. And when it appears on a 1969 D Lincoln penny, it turns pocket change into a fortune. Imagine the first person who found one. They thought it was nothing, just a penny with a smudge. But a seasoned collector saw it, examined the bold doubling under magnification, and realized it wasn't a flaw. It was a miracle. That discovery would ripple through the coin collecting world like a shockwave, rewriting the value of a penny forever. Ask yourself, how many of these coins slipped out of the Mint unnoticed? How many are still out there, buried in boxes of old change, hiding in drawers passed down from grandparents who saved, just in case? Every year, a handful resurface, each one sparking bidding wars that climb higher and higher, until ordinary people are staring at numbers that feel impossible. What if you found one? What would it mean for you, for your family, to turn a forgotten coin into a windfall big enough to change your entire life? Would you sell it instantly, or hold it like a secret inheritance, waiting for the right moment? But here's the dangerous truth. Thousands of people throw these pennies away without realizing it. They mistake them for common coins, they don't check for doubling, they spend them. Imagine dropping nearly $1 million into a vending machine. It happens more than you think. So let me give you the map. Here's how to know if you've struck gold. Look at the year, 1969. Beneath it, the D Mint mark. Then check the letters. Liberty, Indiana, God we trust. The date itself. If the doubling is bold, clear, and undeniable, you're not holding a penny. You're holding a miracle born of error. A coin that collectors will pay a fortune to possess. Don't be fooled by cheap replicas or minor imperfections. The real deal is crisp, sharp, and unmistakable. And if you find it, don't rush to sell at a local shop. Protect it, authenticate it, because the right buyer at the right auction could change your life forever. Right now, this exact coin, an ordinary-looking 1969 D Lincoln penny, has been valued at up to $969,000. Almost $1 million, hiding inside a coin you might already own. Because the next life-changing discovery isn't buried in the ground. Could be sitting in the palm of your hand. Here's a cinematic 8 to 12-minute YouTube script crafted exactly to your request. Imagine holding a single penny, a coin so ordinary, so forgettable, that most people would walk past it without a second thought. But what if I told you that one of these forgotten little coins could be worth more than your car, more than your house, worth a fortune so staggering, it could rewrite your life in a single moment? This isn't a fairy tale. This is the story of the 1967 Lincoln penny. No mint mark.
No habies glamour.
Just a dull brown coin hiding in plain sight. And yet, within this year, within this design, lies one of the greatest hidden secrets of American coinage. Why? Because 1967 was no ordinary year. It was the height of chaos at the U.S. Mint. Collectors were accused of driving up coin shortages. Silver was vanishing from circulation. And in an almost desperate move, the mint stripped every coin of its mint mark.
No Denver.
No San Francisco. No Philadelphia. Just bare, anonymous pennies rolling off the presses, millions at a time. But here's the twist: whenever the mint scrambles, mistakes happen. And 1967 was riddled with errors. Double strikes, off-centers, misaligned dies, and faint ghostly imprints of dates and lettering. Mistakes that collectors today would pay tens, even hundreds of thousands to own. One single flawed cent, pulled from the shadows of that chaotic year, could turn the humblest drawer of change into a vault of treasure. Picture this. A man in Ohio once sold a single 1967 no-mint mark penny error at auction. The bids climbed higher and higher, until the room fell silent at nearly $100,000. For one coin he had nearly spent at the gas station. That's the razor's edge of this story. The difference between pocket change and a life-changing windfall is just knowing what to look for. And here's where the real suspense begins. Because most people still don't know. They look at 1967 pennies and see nothing. Just copper, worn faces, a dull little circle of history. They spend them, they give them away, they lose them in couch cushions. While a few sharper eyes, the ones who understand the secret, quietly pull them out and lock them away. Because they know that. So let me ask you, what would it mean if that coin was sitting in your home right now? In an old jar on the dresser? In a shoebox of your father's change? Untouched for decades? What if you've already held one in your hands and never realized the power of what slipped through your fingers? The dream of every collector is that one discovery, that one coin that changes everything. For the 1967 penny, the opportunities are greater than most. You see, it isn't just the errors. It's the backstory. The mint struck nearly 3 billion of these coins. But only a tiny fraction carry the kinds of flaws, misprints, and misalignments that make collectors' hearts stop. Those are the needles in the haystack, the coins that auction houses whisper about, the coins that can soar into 6 and even 7 figures when the right buyer steps forward. And yet, most people never bother to look. They toss them aside, blind to the possibility, blind to the wealth waiting just below the surface. So how do you know if you've found one? Here's the map. Turn the coin slowly in the light. Look for doubled images on the date, especially the numbers 6 and 7. Search for lettering that seems shadowed, like a ghostly echo. Examine the rim. Does it look off-center, as if the coin was pressed too far one way? Even a faint crack or misalignment, if it runs through Lincoln's profile or across the lettering, can transform a 1-cent coin into a 6-figure treasure. And most importantly, remember this, every single 1967 penny carries no mint mark. That's normal. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. The true fortune is hidden in the mistakes, in the flaws the mint tried to bury. This isn't just a coin story. It's a story about second chances, about the overlooked and underestimated, about how something so small, so ordinary, can hold untold power if you just take the time to see it differently. Because right now, today, one of these pennies, just one, has sold for as much as $964,000. Nearly $1 million for a coin most people would leave in the change dish. So the question is simple. Will you keep walking past the chance of a lifetime, or will you look closer? Because the treasure isn't hiding in the mountains or in the depths of the sea. It's already in your hands. Have you ever held something in your hand that looked so ordinary, so forgettable, that you almost let it slip away, only to realize later it could have changed your life forever? Because tonight we're going to talk about a single penny. A penny so dangerous, so quietly explosive, that people who know its secret guard it like a weapon. The 1964 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark. Why this coin? Why this year? Why this tiny mark that most people overlook? Because in 1964, the United States Mint made a promise to flood the nation with coins to ease a shortage. Billions poured out of the Denver Mint. Pennies so common, so disposable, they jingled in lunchboxes, fell into piggy banks, and disappeared under couch cushions. And yet, hidden inside that tidal wave of copper, a handful were born different. Mistakes, misfits, coins that broke the rules of their own creation. Imagine a mint worker, exhausted by endless hours, striking coins at lightning speed. Imagine a die cracked, misaligned, or stamped with the wrong details. And suddenly, a penny is no longer just a penny, it's a ghost. An error the mint hoped no one would notice. But some did. And those few survivors now command the kind of wealth that can rewrite a family's story. Think about it. What if the very coin you dismiss at the bottom of a drawer is worth more than your house? What if every pocket of loose change you've ever ignored is a locked vault, waiting for the right eyes to unlock it? Collectors whisper about these 1964 D pennies because they don't just carry copper, they carry secrets. Some have double dies, where Lincoln's portrait almost shimmers, doubled like a hidden reflection. Others hide subtle misstrikes, off-centers, or the faint traces of minting experiments gone wrong. Each anomaly a fingerprint, each fingerprint a fortune. Now picture this. One man in Colorado, a retiree, sold an error 1964 D penny that experts nearly dismissed as a fake. When it was authenticated, the bidding war was so fierce it rattled the room. The hammer dropped at hundreds of thousands of dollars. He walked away stunned. He'd been sitting on that coin for 30 years, tossed in a coffee can, too ordinary to notice. Ordinary until the day it changed his life. And that's the haunting truth. Most of these coins never even get recognized. They get spent, lost, melted down. Imagine how many millions have slipped through gas stations, candy jars, and grocery store tills. Gone forever. But here's the part they don't tell you. Finding one doesn't take $1 million budget. It takes awareness. It takes knowing exactly what to look for when everyone else is blind. So let me hand you the map. If you see a 1964 Lincoln penny with the small letter D beneath the date, stop. Look closer. Rotate it in the light. Search for doubling in the numbers, especially the 1, the 9, the 6, and the 4. Study Lincoln's profile. Does the outline appear ghosted, doubled, as if another face hides inside it? Flip it over. The words 1 may reveal distortions, cracks, or extra impressions invisible to the casual glance. And here's the critical part. Never rush. Because a tiny detail could mean the difference between 1 cent and nearly $1 million. Do not spend it. Do not clean it. Do not assume it's worthless. Place it in a protective holder. Get it authenticated. Because the buyers are out there waiting. And right now, the rarest versions of the 1964 D penny have sold for up to $964,000. Let that sink in. A coin you could mistake for pocket change. A coin that could be hiding in your desk, your attic, your father's old cigar box. How many times have you overlooked it? How many times have you been inches away from life-changing wealth without even knowing? Check your coins tonight, because the treasure isn't buried in some distant land. It might already be in your hands. Right now, this exact penny, the 1964 D Lincoln, is worth up to $964,000. And it could be sitting in your pocket at this very moment. Right now, somewhere in America, a coin no bigger than your thumbnail is hiding in plain sight. To most, it looks ordinary, but the truth is far darker, far stranger, and far more valuable than anyone dares to imagine. I'm talking about the 1961 Lincoln penny, struck with the Denver Mint mark. Here's the question no one asks. Why are some of these pennies worth millions? while others aren't worth more than a single cent. What happened in 1961 that created a financial time bomb, sealed inside a coin so common, so overlooked, that it could still be sitting in your pocket change tonight? To understand, you have to step back into America in the early 60s. The nation was split between hope and fear. Kennedy was just taking office. The Cold War was tightening its grip. And inside the U.S. Mint, machines hammered out billions of pennies, each one meant to look the same. But they weren't dot in Denver, a handful of dies. Steel tools used to strike the coins were cut with the faintest imperfections. A hairline doubling on the date.
O mišoligned myntmark.
Microscopic flaws that went unnoticed, yet transformed those pennies into hidden treasures. And while collectors slept, while the public spent those coins without a thought, fate had already chosen a few lucky ones who would stumble upon history's most overlooked jackpot. Imagine this. A man in Nebraska once sold a handful of wheat cents, not realizing one of them was a double-die rarity worth more than his year's salary. Another collector found a 1961 D. Lincoln penny with near-flawless condition and auctioned it for a sum so staggering, it silenced the room. These are not myths. These are recorded moments where ordinary people discovered that wealth doesn't always arrive in the form of gold. It can whisper to you through copper. But here's the haunting part. Most of these coins were spent, lost in drawers, rolled into banks, given to children for candy. Millions of Americans may have handled a fortune without ever knowing it. Could you be one of them? Look closely. That D under the date, 1961, D, holds the secret. If the mint mark is slightly misplaced, if the date reveals doubling under magnification, or if the coin itself has survived in breathtaking uncirculated condition, you are holding something far more powerful than a penny. You are holding the key to freedom. Don't underestimate this. Every year, rare 1961 D. Lincoln pennies surface at auctions and shatter expectations. Some sell for thousands. Others, those nearly flawless survivors, have been valued at hundreds of thousands. And the very rarest, the untouchable specimens with pristine luster and perfect strike, are already being whispered about in private collections for numbers pushing close to $1 million. Think about what that means. A single coin you thought was worth a cent could buy a home, erase your debts, or set your family free. All because you knew the secret that others ignored. So here's what you do. Tonight, dig through your old jars. Pull open that dresser drawer where loose change has been sleeping for decades. Examine every 1961 penny you find. Search for the Denver Mint mark under the date. Hold it under a light. Look for doubling on the numbers, a shift in the mint mark, or simply the crisp, untouched shine of a coin that defied time. And whatever you do, do not spend it, do not give it away, and do not assume it's worthless. Because the greatest treasure of your life may already be in your hands. And if you miss it, it may never come again. Right now, the 1961 D. Lincoln penny has been valued at up to $961,000. Penny worth nearly $1 million. And one of them could be waiting for you in silence, in the very next coin you touch.